Well, ahead of the 2021 classic race season in Irish racing, I'm delighted to be down at the stables of legendary trainer Jim Bolger. Jim, of course, recently had another classic winner at Newmarket with Poetic Flare, just getting up to win the 2000 Guineas there, and he's got some interesting contenders to look forward to here through the summer months. Jim, first of all, it's great to see you. Pre-COVID is the last time we've seen you at a racetrack, but since then your horse has been more than keeping up to his side and doing the talking for you.
Thank you, Fran. Yes, they've been going well, and we're happy with the situation to date. Okay, slight setback yesterday, but hopefully we'll get that right.
And Jim, just speaking about the early days, you before you moved to Coolcullen, you're here nearly 40 years next year. You had no background in racing, you never worked for another trainer, how did you get the graw or get the motivation to get going at it?
Well, I've always been very grateful that I didn't come the traditional route, because I'm not saying that I was full of new ideas, because I wasn't, but I think if you work for somebody else, you bring a certain amount of that somebody else with you for your career. But there is another way as well, especially if you have an inquiring mind. Yeah. And like, I was following racing from the time I was 7 or 8 years old. And we had some great examples in Vincent O'Brien and PJ Prendergast. So like the models were there for us, and they were the pace setters, and they were the ones who travelled their horses abroad and compared them with world competition and delivered the goods. So, you know, as I said, I was very interested in their careers, so I never thought that I would be anywhere nearly as successful as any of those. But I had hoped when I decided to go training full-time that at least I'd be able to make a living. It was going to be my job. Yes. So it turned out pretty okay.
And did you just evolve over time? Obviously, I'm fascinated with Coolcullen. You were forced to move with the visit of the Pope from the Phoenix Park, is that right? That they shut down the training centre there, yeah?
Yeah, and I a card-carrying Catholic. And I got thrown out of my place of employment, and no due process or anything, you know. But anyway, it turned out for the better, because I had been looking for another place, because I had a lease on La Honda Park, okay. Which was the old training centre for Mrs. King and Sir Hugh Nugent, and I would have been the third or fourth incumbent there, but I was always going to have to get a place of my own, because that had been zoned for building. Everybody at that time thought that Vincent O'Brien had the most valuable training centre in Ireland. Yeah. But in actual fact, the land up there was way more valuable, you know, and it's all covered with houses nowadays. But then when we were banned from the park then by the Board of Works for the Pope's visit, well then I just had to make other arrangements. But anyway, we looked at about 40 places.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And a couple of weeks later then, my solicitor told me about this place, and we came down. We had a bad day at the Curragh, which wouldn't be unusual, and we came down anyway, and eventually we found it. No postcodes in those days. And I said to Jackie when we were driving in, I said, I think this place will suit.
Poetic Flare, great winner of the English Guineas a couple of weeks ago. And from 2 to 3, you obviously progressed physically, and you went to Leopardstown for the 2000 Guineas trial with plenty of hopes, I'd imagine.
Yeah, well, from day one now we had him marked out as a very nice horse. And he kept improving all the way along. So I felt going to Newmarket that he was as good as any 3-year-old has left here by June time. That, you know, that he was up to that standard. So I wasn't surprised that he won, but I was a little relieved after the photo finish was announced. You know, it's a great race to win, and it was very welcome because we haven't had a really top horse now for 3 or 4 years, and to keep the show on the road, I need one of those every couple of years. You know. I still think that he's even better than he was at Newmarket.
You take a lot of pride in your names, you give them a lot of thought, whether it's an Irish name or just a history connection. But this horse is a bit different. I believe it's called after Fiona, your daughter.
That's right, yeah. She's a poet and a writer. And we thought we'd honour her with the name. So I'm glad that he was up to classic standard, because she certainly is.